characters we had. Ralph Malph, though, was a character.
Rob Reiner's legacy didn't end with his passing. It ignited a storm of emotions, confusion, and legal battles. A fortune that was once a symbol of success became a source of deep division for his family. What happens when the will isn't what you expect, and what happens when you feel left behind by the very person who brought you into this world? When Rob Reiner passed, the immediate aftermath seemed like a simple, sorrowful goodbye. But things took a darker turn when his will was read. His children, Roy and Jake, were completely unprepared for what followed. All the wealth, a fortune estimated at $200 million, wasn't left to them. Instead, it was directed to charitable foundations. This decision shocked the family, particularly when it became clear that Rob's wishes were clear: his children were not to inherit. The loss of their father took a different shape after that revelation. What started as grief rapidly morphed into a painful realization: their connection to their father's empire was cut off. Jake, feeling abandoned, expressed his feelings with raw emotion, accusing his parents of valuing external causes over their own children. The shock quickly turned into legal action. With their parents' death barely behind them, the fight for Rob's estate began. It wasn't just about money. It was about a family coming apart, with tensions that had long been buried beginning to surface. The public became part of the spectacle, watching as the family tried to navigate their grief, alongside a complicated and very public inheritance dispute. Just weeks after the tragic deaths of Rob and Michelle Reiner in December 2025, their children, Jake and Roy, found themselves stepping into the glare of the media spotlight. Paparazzi caught them leaving a prestigious Beverly Hills law office, setting the stage for what many speculated was a looming battle over the $200 million inheritance. As Roy and Jake entered the office, their expressions were a mix of grief and frustration. They kept their silence as questions from reporters shot at them. Was the will even validated? Who would be in charge of the estate now? Despite their personal losses, the world was focused on one thing: the fight over their family's wealth. But as the legal drama unfolded, an even bigger revelation surfaced. Rob Reiner had made a deliberate choice. His wealth was never meant to stay with his family. Instead, nearly all of his fortune was meant to go to charitable organizations. This decision, though seemingly shocking, was rooted in Rob's personal philosophy. He believed that his children had to stand on their own, and that wealth could be more of a hindrance than a help. A source close to the family shared that Rob's decision was driven by his belief that his children, especially Nick, needed to learn independence. He feared that shielding them from financial reality would weaken their ambition and sense of responsibility. His goal was to prepare them for life without relying on his fortune. His children, Jake and Romy, however, had already shown their independence and weren't reliant on his wealth, which is why Rob didn't see the need to provide for them financially in his will. To Rob, fatherhood wasn't about leaving behind a legacy of wealth, but teaching his children to thrive on their own. This was a philosophy he lived by, and he had often expressed that excessive wealth could cloud judgment and slow down personal growth. His decision was not about punishing his children, but about helping them become independent. Jake and Romy, unlike Nick, had established their own careers and lives. They were already forging their paths, which is why Rob felt they didn't need the safety net of inheritance. He once remarked that his children were strong enough to navigate life without him, joking that they could handle it all on their own. It was a sentiment that would ring louder as the family's fight over his fortune continued. However, for Jake and Romy, the decision felt like a betrayal. They were hurt and confused. To them, it wasn't just about money, it was about dignity. They struggled with the idea of receiving nothing at all, not even a token of support from their parents. Their legal battle wasn't just to claim the wealth, it was about finding a place in the story their father had left behind. The siblings' legal team began to review every detail of the will, scrutinizing trust structures, legal clauses, and timelines. They weren't just challenging a document, they were questioning the moral legacy their father had left them. The siblings were determined to find a way to change the outcome, not because they were greedy, but because they felt abandoned. Public opinion isn't my family. Jake Reiner legal battles soon became the only way forward, and the siblings turned to an aggressive inheritance litigator, Daniel Kraus, to help them fight their case. The legal team knew this fight would be long and painful, but they were willing to push forward, believing it was their only chance to claim some form of justice. The battle wasn't just about inheritance, it was about restoring their place within their family's legacy. As the legal proceedings dragged on, the public continued to speculate. The world was watching, and the story of the Reiner family became one of Hollywood's most talked-about scandals. But the more the story unfolded, the more it became clear that this wasn't just a fight over money. It was about a deeper sense of hurt, a family divided over differing values and expectations. Rob Reiner, throughout his career, had been a passionate advocate for children's welfare, education, and civil rights. He had used his fame and wealth to push for change, funding numerous initiatives that helped children and marginalized communities. His most influential project was the I Am Your Child Foundation, which raised awareness about early childhood development. This, and his advocacy work, formed a significant part of his legacy. Michelle Singer Reiner, Rob's wife, played a vital role behind the scenes. She helped shape their charitable efforts and kept their philanthropic projects moving forward. Together, they created a lasting impact on communities, particularly in education and healthcare. Their work wasn't about personal recognition. It was about making a difference in the world. But despite all of this, when it came to the end, Rob Reiner's children found themselves with nothing to inherit, the legacy they had worked so hard to build through their activism, their films, and their public service. Was Rob's decision an act of love, a way to prepare his children for independence? Or was it a cruel rejection, a family that had never quite been able to connect in the way Rob had hoped? Parents don't live to pave the road for their children. They live to teach them how to walk. The question that remains is, did Rob Reiner's decision truly reflect his values, or did it inadvertently create a family crisis? The conflict over his will still lingers, with legal and emotional consequences continuing to unfold. It's a stark reminder that even the most carefully planned legacies can lead to unintended consequences. As Rob Reiner's estate continues to be divided, one thing is clear: his legacy is far from over. The choices he made will be felt for generations, not just in the philanthropic causes he championed, but in the family he left behind. And in the end, the question remains, was it all worth it? Was independence the greatest gift a father could give, or was it a lesson in abandonment? If you have thoughts on Rob Reiner's decision, his will, or the consequences for his family, drop a comment below. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to Winds of Thought, and hit the bell icon for more deep dives into the world's most powerful legacies. Because sometimes, the silence that follows a story is just as loud as the words that came before it.